different about our farm that we, to your point, like kind of up level what we're doing sustainably.
Gotcha. That's interesting. I want to go into some grocery store terms because I think this is one of the areas that I know so many people are super confused about, and oftentimes we think we know what we're picking and why we're picking, but maybe there's myths about it or we don't know about it. What grocery store terms on, beef, on eggs, on chicken, on whatever are you most conscious of when you're shopping?
Yeah, really good question. So I am not gonna lie, I buy the cheapest milk on the shelf every
Okay.
time I go to the grocery store.
I might even just interrupt at certain places here because I'm interested. So you feel like the difference between different kinds of milks, like the quality of them is probably just, there's not really much different quality because the standard is the standard and it's either, it passed the test or it didn't pass the test. You feel like it's pretty standard?
Yeah, so there are differences. Organic. Let's use organic versus conventional. That's a big one. Organic, a lot of people have preconceived notions of what that means. To me as a farmer, it means different management practices on the farm. It's a farming practice. Organic for dairy farms mean the cows are out on pasture for X amount of days out of the year and they can't use antibiotics. So those are some things. Knowing like what I know, I don't choose to purchase organic. That is no shade on the organic farmer.
Yeah.
For me, those things are not the things I'm prioritizing when I'm at the grocery store. As far as how much protein's in it, the quality, the conventional milk is just as high quality, just as much protein, all of those kind of things.
Gotcha. So you're saying like milk itself basically equal product. It's just about the farming practice.
Yep. And there is some, like if you do a grass-fed milk, there's a little bit higher of the omegas, the healthy omegas.
Right. But it's still gonna be relatively minimal. Like when it comes to the recommended intake of omega-3s.
Exactly what I was going to say. So a lot of times for me, I would rather spend my money in that case on a higher quality salmon and be getting my good omegas from there versus dairy. And again, like not throwing shade on those organic farmers. That's where it comes down to food choice. And I'm like, okay, I have X amount of money to spend at the grocery store. Where do I want to spend my money? I also though drink a Fairlife high protein drink every morning. So I spend my milk money goes to getting those because I love that meal replacer. So I do those. As far as like grass fed on the beef side, I do not buy grass fed. I do buy from a local butcher in our town. I think if you are looking for high quality grass fed, I always recommend to people to go direct to consumer. There's a lot of really great options of being able to buy beef directly from like a farmer and rancher where you can ask your specific questions and know exactly what goes into it. With that being said, I am also the girl that goes to Costco and gets the huge, prime rib roast and feels completely confident with that piece of meat and what goes into creating or to making that piece of meat. So it's like, I think it's like one of those things that if you tell me what's important to you, then that can tell you how to shop.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's give and takes with every single thing. A lot of our grass fed in the grocery store, truly grass fed, a lot of it's imported. Personally, for me, I really love supporting U.S. farmers and ranchers when I can in the beef aisle. And so if I was looking for specifically grass-fed, that's where I'd be like, okay, where's a farmer or rancher I can buy directly from? Otherwise, I feel very comfortable with the beef at the grocery store.
Yeah, so basically I was trying to write down a few different categories of things that people are most concerned with when they're going to the grocery store, whether it's quality of product, whether it's price, whether it's supporting local, whether it's supporting a certain kind of farming practice. You need to know what your values or what your priorities are, I guess, of those first, and then that's going to guide what you recommend for people or what people should pick for themselves.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point. Like I really do, because like the grocery store beef, Natalie, if she was here, she's my co-host that has a conventional beef operation. Their cows are out on pasture most of the year, which surprises people. People always assume, and she's a conventional beef, her beef will end up at the grocery store. That's who she sells into. And I think a lot of people have this idea that like the beef at the grocery store is bad or it's not from family farms, it's not from family ranches. And that's not the case. Like that, a large portion, I said this earlier, of our beef is actually spends 2/3 of their life out at pasture. It's the last 1/3 where they move more into that feedlot setting. They're going to be fed, grains as well as grass still. There was actually a study out of Oklahoma State that analyzed a classic beef cow throughout its entire life cycle, and it said less than 8% of its total diet was grains, and that was
Yeah.
a quote unquote grain fed animal.
Yeah.
The rest of its diet was either, milk from its mother, grass from out on pasture, and there was grains introduced in the last 1/3 of their life. And I think that really, really gets lost in the conversation of grass fed versus grain fed. It's these two industries have been very much pitted against each other, and I don't think it always has to be that way.
Totally. Well, I want to stay on this a little bit longer, and then we'll go back to some grocery store terms. Are there specific? Is there a specific percentage of? Do you know this? If there's a specific percentage of their diet that has to be grass fed or grass for them to be out on pasture, I guess I should say, for it to be considered grass fed? Because I know there's also grass fed, and then there's some grass fed, grass finished, and I know supposedly grass fed, grass finished is 100%. Out on pasture, I guess, but maybe grass fed, it can be mostly on pasture, and then some feedlot. Do you know those numbers or anything like that, or requirements?
The joys of labels at the grocery store. Like, I think labels started out as like something good to like educate
Right.
people on what it is, and it has quickly turned into a marketing scheme,
Yeah.
a marketing gimmick, unfortunately.
Totally.
And that is why I said if you truly care about that grass-fed label and want to know exactly what stage of life the cow did what, I think your best bet is going to direct to consumer where you can ask every single one of those questions, because there's so many different things of what each little thing means. I mean, organic, it is a USDA certified organic that has legitimacy to it. As far as a lot of the other labels we see, they're not always like legitimate. Like the word natural has absolutely nothing behind it, means absolutely nothing. Grass fed is like, to your point, is it grass fed? Is it grass finished? Grass fed doesn't mean it was out on pasture. It could be grass fed in a feed bunk instead of out on pasture. There's like all these little tiny things. And I don't say that to scare people. I say it as if you are just absolutely diehard on a certain style of eating, I think doing your research and making sure that it answers or checks those boxes for you is really important.
Yeah, totally. That's interesting. It seems like to me, and I've kind of always, I do pay attention to labels for sure, but it definitely just seems like people get way too worked up about labels than maybe than we should be. And like you said, a label itself doesn't necessarily mean this particular thing. It can mean a lot of different things. So if you really want to go to your local farmer and see what they actually do, because other than that, you're not exactly sure.
Yeah, I mean, a perfect example is on milk. I'm sure you've seen the label that says not from cows treated with RBST. That's like a big